This is the penultimate weekend of the 2021 college football regular season, and the finish line is in sight. We are only 3 weeks away from finding out who will be the 4 teams competing in this season's college football playoff. Johnny Talk Sports into bringing my Week 12 college football predictions, and before I get to those, I do have a new top 10 this week. There's not much to discuss in this top 10 this week because the majority of the top 10 is the exact same as last week. Georgia at 1, Ohio State 2, Cincinnati 3, Alabama 4, Michigan State 5, Michigan 6, Oregon 7, Notre Dame at 8, Oklahoma State at 9, and Baylor rounding out the top 10. So again, not much to really discuss here. So I'm going to get right into the Week 12 predictions. Starting things off with Virginia and Pittsburgh, and this is one of the big games of the week with what is on the line. Because what is at stake? Control of the ACC Coastal, a chance to go to the ACC title game, and a chance to be in the New Year's Six, which for both these programs would mean everything. And this game, Brennan Armstrong's status is in question because he was not available in Virginia's game last week against Notre Dame, where Virginia ended up losing. But if I had to guess, I think Brennan Armstrong has a chip on his shoulder where he wants to play this week with what's on the line. And if Armstrong plays, we are getting an offensive shootout in this one because both of these teams are in the top 5 in total offense. Pittsburgh is 2nd total offense, and Virginia is 5th. Brennan Armstrong is 3rd in passing yards in the country, and Kenny Pickett is 5th. Pittsburgh is averaging 43.5 points per game, which is 4th in the FBS. Both these teams, they're excellent on third down. Pittsburgh 9th in third down conversion percentage, Virginia 17th in third down conversion percentage. And they're also some of the best teams on first down. Pittsburgh 1st in the FBS in first down offense, and Virginia is 4th in the country in first down offense. But I also do want to include the defense here. Pittsburgh has 36 team sacks this season, which is 3rd in the FBS, while Virginia has had a hard time getting to the quarterback this season with only 12 team sacks this season, which is 121st in the FBS. And with this type of game, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in this matchup because I have been really impressed with what I've seen out of Pittsburgh this season. And if it weren't for those losses against Western Michigan and Miami, Florida, we are potentially talking about Pittsburgh being a team that could potentially steal a spot in the college football playoff. But going to the New Year's Six is a great consolation prize for either of these teams. And this game could easily come down to which team has the ball last. And I think that is going to be Pittsburgh in this situation. But if Brennan Armstrong can't play in this game, then I think Pittsburgh blows them out convincingly. But either way, whether Armstrong is in or out, I'm going with Pittsburgh. Next, we have Wake Forest and Clemson, another ACC showdown. Clemson, we haven't really talked about Clemson that much in these last few weeks. I mean, we know that Clemson started off the year 2-2, but since then they have won 5 out of their last 6 games, with their only loss being to Pittsburgh. So Clemson is still winning games. And mainly their defense has been carrying them. 11 the total defense this season, and they are 3rd in scoring defense. For Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, 8th in the FBS in passing yards with 3,163. The 2nd best scoring offense in college football, scoring an average of 44.7 points per game, only behind Ohio State. And they're in the top 10 in first down offense, 9th in the country. However, the one weakness for Wake Forest is their run defense, because their run defense ranks 116th in the country. So Clemson's best interest to win this game is to ultimately run the football. Because we have seen Clemson struggle on offense all season long, but they're still managing to win games somehow, mainly by the defense. So if Clemson can just run the football, if they can dictate the pace of the game, then I like Clemson's chances to win this one. However, it is senior day for Clemson this weekend, and I think that these seniors, without a doubt, are going to play their hearts out. They're going to lay everything out there to win one final time in Death Valley, and I think Clemson picks up the win in this matchup. I just feel like this Clemson defense, despite Wake Forest having one of the best scoring offenses in college football, Wake Forest has yet to play a defense like Clemson's. And for Clemson, this is going to be their ACC championship game. That is how they're going to treat it. Just like North Carolina treated Wake Forest as their ACC championship game, Clemson will do the same thing, and they will pick up the win. Next, we have SMU and Cincinnati, and this will be the toughest opponent that Cincinnati has faced since Notre Dame. And I'm going to say this. I think if Cincinnati and Notre Dame, if they faced off in a rematch this weekend, I think the Irish win. Because they have been playing much better football than Cincinnati in these last few weeks. Because Cincinnati, they have played Navy close, they have played Tulsa close. They even played South Florida close for a little bit, but then they pulled away towards the end. But this is going to be the strongest offense that the Bearcats have faced all year. Because SMU ranks 6th in total offense, averaging 498.7 yards per game. Tanner Mordecai, 7th in the FBS in passing yards, and he is 2nd in passing touchdowns, only behind Western Kentucky quarterback Bailey Zappi. For Cincinnati, running back Jerome Ford, 6.3 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns this season. However, Cincinnati's defense has been strong all year. They are 6th in scoring defense, only giving up an average of 16.2 points per game. They are 3rd in red zone defense. However, Cincinnati's offense, led by Desmond Ridder, great offense all year long, 9th in scoring offense. And can SMU's receivers, can they get past the Cincinnati secondary that has intercepted 16 passes, which is the 2nd most in college football? Now, for SMU to win this game, maybe it would be in their best interest to try to slow the pace down of the game a little bit. Because Cincinnati, they are 119th in time possession this season. So that is towards the bottom 10. So if they can exhaust that Cincinnati defense, then I think SMU's got a shot in this game. But with this being the toughest offense Cincinnati has faced all year long, I think SMU strikes the upset in this matchup, ending Cincinnati's playoff hopes, which puts an end to Cincinnati being in that discussion for a spot in the college football playoff. Because the most dangerous team to face in the month of November is a team with nothing to lose but a lot to gain. And what does SMU gain in this game? Well, they can gain respect in college football. They can have a sense of pride, ending Cincinnati's college football playoff hopes. It can impact recruiting, pulling off a big upset like that. And they can position themselves in for a better bowl bid. So I'm going with SMU to pull off this upset. I think Tanner Mordecai, I think he's going to have his way with Cincinnati's defense. Next, we have Arkansas and Alabama. For Arkansas to pull off this upset, their defense has got to keep them in it. And Bumper Poole, Hayden Henry, and Grant Morgan, they have been everywhere on defense for the Razorbacks all year long. In fact, Bumper Poole is 2nd in the SEC with 100 tackles this season. Can Arkansas's defense slow down the Alabama offense that is 3rd in the FBS in scoring offense, scoring about 44.5 points per game, 10th in total offense? Let's also not forget their defense as well. Will Anderson Jr. is the leader of that Tide defense, 12 sacks this season, which is leading the FBS. Now, could Alabama be looking ahead to the Iron Bowl? That could be another factor as well. Because sometimes that just happens. When you got a big opponent next week or you got a big rivalry game, maybe you take your opponent for the week before that maybe a little less seriously, and they can get you. In fact, LSU, if they would have had better quarterback play in that game against Alabama a couple weeks ago, LSU probably steals that game. So, if Arkansas's defense can keep Arkansas in this game, they may have a chance. But in the end, though, I feel like Alabama wins this game anyways, whether if it's in a blowout or if Arkansas plays them close. But honestly, if you're an Auburn fan, you really want Alabama to just blow out Arkansas. You don't want Arkansas to play them close because then Alabama will come out angry the next game. But I will pick the Tide in this game, but we'll just have to see how they win. Do they blow out Arkansas? Do they shut them out? Or does Arkansas play them close? Because we have seen Alabama have some weak points this season. They're not looking as unbeatable as they have been in years past. Next, we have Oregon and Utah. Despite Oregon having some weak points throughout most of the season since beating Ohio State, they have been looking much better in the last few games. In fact, Travis Dye, in the last 5 games, 526 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns. And also, there's been some questions about Anthony Brown as a passer. In 4 of the last 5 games, he's been completing at least 70% of his passes or better. While Utah, they had a slow start to the year. Started off the year 1-2. But their losses have been to BYU and San Diego State. Really solid competition. However, they have won 6 out of their last 7 games since that 1-2 start. And Utah is 19th in total offense, while Oregon is 21st. So I anticipate a lot of points being scored in this game. Can Utah contain the running game? Because Anthony Brown is also a runner as well. Utah, they rank 3rd in tackles for loss. So can they get some tackles for loss, force Oregon to play in long yardage situations? Now, if you would have asked me about this game a couple of weeks ago, I would say Utah would beat Oregon because Oregon, they have not been playing good football since beating Ohio State. And they've lost to Stanford, who won't even go to a bowl game at this point. But these last couple of games, I think Oregon, they've been starting to find their footing, and I like the Ducks to win this game. I know that anything can happen in November because we've seen some top 10 teams fall already this season and in November, but I would not be completely surprised if Utah pulled off this upset. But Oregon's been playing better these last couple weeks, and I think that is confidence for them moving forward. So I'm going to go with the Ducks. Next, we have Iowa State and Oklahoma, and I think this game will be decided by a couple of different things. 1, red zone defense. Can we see some defense in the red zone? Because both of these teams are very efficient in the red zone. Iowa State, 4th in college football in red zone offense, while Oklahoma is 2nd in red zone offense. Caleb Williams is coming off of his worst performance of the year. 9 for 18, 142 yards, and 2 interceptions last week against Baylor. And Oklahoma's defense also gave up 296 rushing yards against Baylor last week. Also, we got the experience of Brock Purdy for Iowa State. 73.4% completion percentage, 2,441 passing yards, 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, while Breece Hall 2nd in the Big 12 in rushing yards and 6th in the FBS with 1,164 rushing yards. Kennedy Brooks has also been doing well for Oklahoma in the running game. In fact, a big difference maker against Texas in the Red River Showdown. So I think this game comes down to which team I think will run the football better, and I think that's going to be Iowa State. Based off of Oklahoma's abysmal run defense last week, I think Iowa State pulls off this upset because Iowa State has been Oklahoma's kryptonite in recent years. And I think Iowa State has the better running back in Breece Hall. And if it comes down to having to lead a 2-minute drive, I like the experience of Brock Purdy better than Caleb Williams. So I'm going to go with Iowa State to pull off the upset. And finally, we have our game of the week, Michigan State and Ohio State. Major Big Ten implications on the line, as well as major college football playoff implications on the line as well. Now, the one thing I don't get, why is this a noon Eastern game? Why isn't this being played in prime time like it needs to be? For this being one of the biggest games of the year, it needs to at least be in prime time. But it will still be a good game. For Michigan State, Kenneth Walker, 1,473 rushing yards this season, which is first in the FBS, leading the country, and maybe one of, if not the front runner, to win the Heisman Trophy. If he has a big performance against Ohio State, maybe that puts him as the favorite to win the Heisman. Ohio State, since losing to Oregon, I think the second best team in college football. They're still managing to score 46.3 points per game, which is the most in the country. And C.J. Stroud, in his last 6 games, 24 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions. Now, despite both of these teams having good running games, I think this ball will be thrown a lot in this game because Peyton Thorne is averaging 14.2 yards per completion, while C.J. Stroud is averaging 14.1 yards per completion. But the weakness for Michigan State is their pass defense. Their run defense is good. In fact, both of these teams are in the top 20 in rush defense. But Michigan State is last in the country in pass defense. And when you're last in the country in pass defense, the last thing you want is to go up against a quarterback that has had the hot hand in the last 6 games. Only 24 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I think that's going to be the difference in this game. If Ohio State can contain Kenneth Walker, I think it's going to be a long afternoon for the Spartans. Because can Michigan State's pass defense even contain who I think are 3 of the best 5 wide receivers in the country as far as talent-wise is concerned? The thing is, I don't think so. I think Ohio State wins this game, and Ohio State continues to control their own destiny, not only in the Big Ten, but in the college football playoff race. So I'm picking the Buckeyes to win this matchup. I do, however, think that if Kenneth Walker has a big game, Michigan State can stay in it from start to finish. If Michigan State can dictate the pace of the game, just use the ground and pound with Kenneth Walker, keep Ohio State's offense on the sidelines, then I think Michigan State can pull off the upset. But I think with Ohio State being one of the better run defense in the country, I think it will be a long afternoon for Michigan State. So that will do it for my Week 12 college football predictions. Like, share, and subscribe. And if there was a game that you want me to predict that I didn't predict here, leave in the comment section and I will comment. I'll respond to you. Until next time, have a wonderful day and thank you for tuning in.